Diane Abbott unintentionally leaks Labour's open border policy, Jeremy Corbyn tries to fix it but makes it worse, and we travel to Stevenage to speak to a number of local voters about the upcoming election. Now, we all remember the old Labour Party, the Labour Party that used to be traditional for the working classes, to protect the working classes, but also the majority of the country from their perspective with their centre-left policies, but specifically when it came to immigration, they always wanted to have safeguards to make sure that the working classes across the country are protected. Now, this is also the same Labour Party, and with the same leader, Jeremy Corbyn, who after the 2016 EU referendum, literally the next day he came out and said that we should trigger Article 50 immediately and leave, and we should leave the single market, which also includes free movement. And in 2017, the same Labour Party also put in their manifesto that we will leave the customs union and the single market, which includes free movement. Now, gradually over the last few years, they've been changing their tune and the way they manage the party. Now they basically are the party of the European Union. They are the party of free movement and open borders. Now the problem with Labour's open border policy is that basically they don't believe in a level playing field when it comes to a free movement. They want to have an unbalanced and unfair open border. Our borders should be open, and when it comes to Western countries, and anyone should be able to come in, but no one obviously is going to move from the UK to the East. It's not going to work that way, but they're fine with that. Now, they hadn't announced it yet officially until Diane Abbott accidentally tweeted this. Now, this wasn't supposed to go out, but Diane Abbott tweeted that the Labour Party is committed to maintaining and extending freedom of movement rights, but the Tories will remove those rights from the EU 3 million. We will maintain them. Now, there are a couple of issues with this. One, this wasn't actually officially announced. No one was supposed to say anything about this. Two, there are two policies in this. One is the actual open border stuff, but the others is for people who want to come here and work. And but she also said that basically Labour want to extend those rights, which basically they clarified they meant their relatives and family members and all the friends of people who are going to be travelling to the UK to move. And yeah, that's another problem. Now, Laura Pidcock, the other Labour MP, was interviewed by Andrew Neil, and she tried to fix this. She tried to hide this policy, saying, oh yeah, we haven't actually decided yet. And yeah, this is what happened.
If you got the stricter labour market regulation that you and Len McCluskey are talking about and would want, if you put that in place, would you then be happy to continue with free movement?
Well, if we are saying that actually the issue is one of exploitation, and if we are saying that the issue is one of collective agreements being undermined, and we are saying that, when people are annoyed that actually there's two different rates being paid for shift, or a night work shift being paid at a different rate,
so what's
and
the answer?
mainly migrant workers
is it yes or no?
having to work on that, or jobs only being
but all right, I understand that, but you seem to be playing for time, and I need to go on to gender pay, which I know is very important. I want to know if you get the kind of labour regulations you want, would you then be happy to continue with free movement?
What I am saying is it then no longer becomes an issue, because people are saying that exploitation and poverty pay.
So you would then be in favour of free movement?
Well, listen, humans for time immemorial have moved from one country to another. Am I going to, on your programme, say that immigrants are the problem? No, I'm not.
I'm not asking you.
Humans have always moved historically. Well, we all know that. What's this got to do with your policy?
Well,
and then will you be in favour of free movement? It's an easy question. Is it yes or no?
You will see what our proposal says in our manifesto.
All right. Let me move. Look, I know when I'm not getting...
Now, Andrew Neil is a great interviewer, but he basically failed to get the right answer. But now, the next one was Andrew Marr.
And then there is the question of the fourth pillar, free movement of people. Your 2017 manifesto said very clearly, free movement of people will end when we leave the European Union. Will the current manifesto say the same thing?
Well, you'll have to wait until Thursday to see the wording of it.
You decided this yesterday, so you know the answer.
Yes, I'm going to come on to that in a moment. The point are making is that, first of all, a lot of European Union nationals have made their homes in this country and made a massive contribution to our society. A lot of British people live in different parts of the European Union, and many of those families have been through unbelievable levels of stress. So they absolutely must have the right to remain and be able to bring their families here, as indeed other aspects of family reunion should be available.
So in terms of how you do it, the conference motion, the famous conference motion, said that Labour should maintain and extend free movement rights. What does the extend mean? Who do you mean? Where do you want to extend it to?
Well, I think the movers of the motion had in mind the questions of family reunion of people from both the European Union and other parts of the world as well, because what you have is people that wholly legitimately make their homes and their contribution here, but have an artificial income level put on them if they're allowed to bring partners or children into this country, and I think that is what was behind that motion. And a Labour government not going to... No Labour government led by me will bring in a hostile environment such as Theresa May brought.
Very, very simple, very easy question. Will free movement end when we leave the EU?
There will be a great deal of movement. There will be a great deal of movement. There will be a great deal of movement.
A great deal of movement, so free movement will not end?
No, you'll have to wait until Thursday. I know you're very impatient. And
I am. I just want to get you to tell me what's going to happen.
Well, you'll know on Thursday.
See? Told you. That's what they want. But they want to make it a surprise announcement because they think it's going to be so popular that, we're not going to say just yet, but not because they're ashamed of it, but they think it's going to be a big surprise, a positive surprise. So let's just wait until the manifesto comes out this week and wait for the backlash. You think nationalising BT was bad? This is going to be worse. Unless they're going to change their mind again. We'll see how it goes. Now, as part of our election tour, we travel around the country and speak to a couple of voters in each seat. Today, we travel to Stevenage. And let's watch the couple of interviews we did with the local residents and see what they say. So we're out in Stevenage today. We're going to speak to a couple of voters to see how they're thinking about this election and what their mood is here in this town. It's interesting because back in 2017, UKIP decided not to stand, and previously in 2015 and 2010, this is one of the seats that actually UKIP probably got more votes from the Labour Party rather than the Tories. So this time the Brexit Party are not standing, which was to help the Tories win, but I think it might actually help Labour close down the margin. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. This is why now the Tories should rely on the direct conversion between from the Labour Party to the Tory votes. Now that we don't have the Brexit Party or UKIP. So let's speak to a couple of people and see what they think.
At first, I was a Brexiteer, and now looking at the way.
The Brexit Party.
Yes, Brexit Party, and I'm now seem to be backing more Boris because I think he is going in the right direction, and hopefully we will get the Brexit that we really want. A friend of mine who was a follower of Labour since Jeremy Corbyn's stuff that he's been putting out, she's now changed. She changed to the Brexit, and now she's now going over towards Boris Johnson. So. It looks like that's the way.
It's funny because this seat is one of those weird seats that we've had a lot of Labour directly converting to Conservatives, and actually last time when UKIP stood, not last time they didn't stand, but 2015 when they stood, they did take the Labour vote. So even this time the Brexit Party are not standing here. There's this fear that actually it might not help the Tories. If they were to stand, they could get the Labour votes here.
They could indeed, yes. Yeah. So.
Are you positive? Do you think Boris could win this election? Or?
I think I'm more or less 80%, maybe 90% definite now. I think. Yeah.
Are you confident that Boris could win this, or is it kind of close? Or?
Well, the trouble is that the vote's going to go to other smaller parties like the Green parties and things like that. So you really don't know what's going to happen in the end.
You say you're not from Stevenage, right? Where are you from?
I'm originally from London, Ladbroke Grove, and then I moved to Hitchin, which I really love. I was in Letchworth before, but I love Hitchin. It's a really lovely place. It's like a small market town.
Yeah, because that also, like Stevenage, the Brexit Party aren't standing there, so...
Really? It's just the Tories. The Tories do quite well here, don't they? But the Brexit Party have UKIP won before in Stevenage, didn't they? Well, they're meant to honour the vote, and it was the first time we ever had one vote meant something, and the highest turnout in the history of the UK, and it's not being honoured. So people are really frustrated.
And as we said in the video, it's interesting. There are some seats across the country that the Brexit Party standing would damage the Conservatives, actually. But there are certain seats, not that Brexit Party could win from the Labour Party, but actually they would split the Labour vote. And one of the theories is that actually Stevenage is one of those areas, because as we mentioned back in 2010 and 15, when UKIP stood, they stole some of the Labour votes, and the Tories margin was slightly higher. Whereas in 2017, with no UKIP candidate, Labour's share of vote actually came up, and the margin became smaller. So we have to see how this election goes. But when we say that there are some seats that the Brexit Party standing would help, doesn't mean that they could actually win it from Labour. That's virtually impossible, but they could steal some of the Labour votes. So the Tories, they've already made these decisions anyway. We'll see how the next few weeks goes. We'll talk about more of the election news in the upcoming days, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel and click on a bell next to it so you get notified when I release a new video. And if you want to find out about our election tour, we are traveling around the country, so make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'll put the details where we go, what time we're going to be in certain locations and areas. We're going to go around towards the end of the week to North and Midlands, so we'll put the details on social media. If you want to check out our merchandise page, we have various t-shirt designs and other merchandise as well. We've got obviously the Christmas version. All I want for Christmas is Brexit, but also the Drain the Swamp, 12th of December 2019, and other designs as well. As always, I'm Tousi, and I'll see you tomorrow with a new video.